My biggest struggle building a business and being a mom is just finding the balance of time that I can actually work my business. And I've just found it to be almost impossible to take calls and do things while I have my son at the same time. So just finding ways to incorporate him and include him and make him part of the business so that I can do both things.
Welcome to the biggest network marketing mistakes podcast, where we share the jaw-dropping stories and lessons behind the top 1% network marketers' massive team building mistakes so you don't make them. Prepare to be blown away as we peel back the layers and expose the untold secrets and hacks deployed by the industry's finest. This podcast is designed specifically for faith-based network marketing leaders who refuse to sacrifice precious family time in pursuit of success. Ditch the burnout and embrace a life of freedom. I'm your host, Megan Miles, network marketing pro with over a decade of experience in the field, here to serve you. Let's get started.
I love that. That's awesome. Hey guys, what's up? Welcome to the MLM Moms podcast. This is Megan Miles, and today we have our wonderful, beautiful guest, Miss Amy Varley. And I'm just so excited because she's a sunshine of ray, and her son is the same way. We're going to dive into a little bit more about what she just said, but real quick, Miss Amy here has been in the industry for almost 20 years. She's built teams of over 500,000, and she's consistently in the top 10 of her company rankings. So definitely listen up and tune up, because if you're someone who's struggling in your business, especially around how to connect and how to find more leads organically, she is the queen of that. She's a master connector. She's a master influencer, and she's so great at connecting the dots and bringing people to the opportunity or the products out of service, out of a true place of service in her heart. So I loved what you just said, Amy, about, I think as moms, we always struggle. It's like we have that mom guilt, right? And I had this awakening the other day, because I saw a reel, an Instagram reel of this girl talking about it's either this, or what's my other option if I don't make this work? So some of us have been in the industry for so long that we're working 20 to 30 hours a week, and we're feeling guilty because, I've got to be on this call, or I have to do this Zoom, or I have to do this presentation. But then if we look back and we're like, well, what's the other option? Like, isn't it better to do this than have to go to a 9-to-5 where, like, today I have to pick up my son for his graduation at 3 and then go to that? Like, I don't know if I'd be guaranteed to be able to do that if I didn't have the freedom and flexibility as a network marketer. And so as a business owner. So anyways, I loved what you just shared about, finding things to do also with your son. So let's talk about that. Like, what are some things that we can do, and what are things that you're doing right now to incorporate your sweet boy Vance, like, into your lifestyle and your work style right now to keep him interested and keep you able to build your business?
So lately, he's actually been taking some of the products that I've been giving out to people. He's been going with me, riding with me in the car, and I'll remind him what it is. So there's like one called D&R. And so he's like, Mommy, are you giving them R? And he gets all excited because he really likes it a lot. And so he's really noticed a difference for him. So he doesn't cry anymore when I give the stuff away because he wants to keep it. He just gets excited and he's like, oh, Mommy, you're giving them products. So that's really fun on that side of it. So
I love that. Yeah. And you are a product queen. Like, I swear, every time I see you, Amy and I have known each other for just very briefly, 10 years, but we ran into each other over a year ago at church, at a Bible study. And every time I see her at church, she's like, got her little heels and she's running with her little product baggie. And like, I have to go give this to someone because she believes in her product and they work. And, there's so many great products, right? One isn't necessarily better than the other, or maybe some are, but there's tons of great products. And you've got to believe in your product, and you've established a belief in your son as well, which is awesome, because now instead of, Mommy has to go give products, it's, Mommy's giving products at work that help, and I get to do it with her.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
Awesome. Cool. What else? Anything else you can think of?
So I've done some house parties just with other moms. Had moms over and like did pampering sessions with them while the kids played upstairs. And that way you get to bless moms and like give them education on things that could help them and their family. But you get to bond with them and hang out. We get to talk, and then our kids get to play upstairs and have a good time. So it's a great way to include other moms too, and also have some fun at the same time. So moms get to have fun and the kids get to have fun as well.
I love that. It's so fun. And at the end of this, I think what we're going to do is a fun little activity, and we're going to take all the activities that Amy does, like as a professional network marketer, out and about. And we're going to also convert it into a little bit of like, how can we do this virtually and streamline it into like a daily system? Because she's starting to delve into systems, and we're rooting for her to get on social media. So, but for those of you that are like, I'm not on social media, like Amy isn't, right? She's hustling and grinding those I wouldn't call them like old school tactics. They work. There's nothing wrong with them. But as moms, even Amy's like, okay, how can I start to implement just a little bit, right? To replace some of the time, because she's the type of person who she loves being out and about. So she will always do at least one event a week. And there's nothing wrong with that. Right. So awesome. I love it. So I know when you're like taking calls, I don't know about you, but for me, I mean, it's been very limited now because of the building strategy we've used has changed, but still occasionally when I do have to take a call and I have Anthony, my son, I'm like, I get some anxiety, and I'm like, I like try to like shove him in a closet, when I'm walking around, and like, I don't know, like what are there any tactics that you're using that maybe work and help you when you're on those quick calls to keep.
Yeah. Oh, I just want to share a funny story really quick because I actually just did this yesterday, but I had some people actually over in person, not on the phone. But in the 5 minutes I was in the office, he had gotten a measuring tape. He had put my car keys in the closet. He had like tied his noisemaker around his dresser. And the whole house was ransacked. It had been 5 minutes. So I was like, oh my gosh. So yeah, I totally get it when you say you get anxiety when you have to like do a call or something. Cause I'm like, oh Lord, what's going to happen? Because even if you give them an activity, sometimes they still get into mischief just because you're on the phone. So I
Yeah.
think definitely some systems whenever I have to be home with them is going to be a huge help because, yeah, I can't have the house rearranged every time I do a phone call.
Yeah, exactly. It's funny. I was we're praying about homeschooling. Dear God bless us. And I was watching some homeschool videos, and one of the things I saw was like the invite to play technique, which I didn't even realize I was actually doing this. But what I'll do is like the night before, or like if Anthony's coming home from like he's in daycare right now, he will I'll leave like certain activities out for him. So I'll open his Lego chest, I'll pull out like some watercolor paint and put it on the table, and then I'll do so I'll bring him home. And because I know like whether I have a Zoom call, right? Because whatever it is, we have our like time maker Zoom call. And so he'll come in and he'll just start playing with stuff that I set out, but I never told him to. And it's funny, it's like the psychology of you just lay stuff out for them rather than here, do this, here, do, because I think so much we're like, okay, well, I do this, you do this. And what's funny is he'll stay self-occupied for like an hour without asking me for anything because I've left like little trails of different types of activities. So when he gets bored, because we've been cutting out a lot of like screen time and anyways, I thought that was really cool that, that I didn't realize
Yeah.
that was like, I didn't really realize the tactic behind it, like the reason, the psychology until I watched this video yesterday. But, and two, like you might even find this, Amy. I know, it can be really stressful when we're trying to like do some work and we have our kids, but I think a lot of people like love it. They're like, wow, this is authentic. Like if she can do it like that, I can do this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Do you feel that way too?
Yeah, I definitely think so. And I think that, people are super understanding, especially people that do have kids. They're like, I get it. We were just talking about that this morning at my networking group that sometimes you just have to take your kids and, sometimes they sit still and sometimes they don't. And, people have to respect that. And I think they do. So maybe you can't accomplish as much, but I definitely think it's authentic and they can see that, you really want to help them and you're really trying to build your business, but you also honor your family at the same time.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so worth it. Like, you know, if we were living this like corporate American job, the chances that our boss would be like, oh yeah, bring your kid. Like there are some bosses I'm sure that are super flexible, but especially more of like the corporate position, right? Like we could never bring our kids to like an executive dinner trying to get a client, right? Like,
Right.
but so I don't know who is listening to this right now who's like on the edge, who's like, I've been struggling in my business and I don't know, maybe I should, give up. Like I just want to say the fight is worth it because like on the other side, being able to have the lifestyle of being able to take your kids wherever you go, or being able to say, hey, I also have the finances to put them in part-time daycare if I want to, because I need some break, right? Is awesome. So you have your son home for the summer, right?
I have him home temporarily. We're going to do a little bit of summer school, but I'm trying to figure out what that looks like so far. But I do like to have the freedom to that we get to choose. But he's off for summer break right now. So, but
Okay.
Adventure Kids is our friend, so we have a
Yeah.
play place. But luckily, he loves to go there, and I can just take him when I need to, and I can take him out when I want to. So I like the freedom of that.
Yeah. I love it. It's so awesome. Um, so okay, cool. So I know you also kind of mentioned a little bit about um I was talking a little bit about how you're such a great connector. Like, tell us a little bit more about your journey of just like why you've gotten the success that you have and how connecting with people has been a big part of that.
So I feel like God gave me that was like my 1% is connection. It's like what I live for. I feel alive when I'm connecting with people and talking to people. I've tried just working at home with nobody. Now, a podcast is different because I can see you and I feel like we're connecting and we're in person. But if I'm trying to do, like, let's say a report or paperwork at home, I just notice that it's awful to me. Like, I have to have human connection. So,
Yeah.
the gift that God gave me, I wanted to utilize that to be able to grow my business of what makes me happy and what makes me feel good. And so I feel good when I'm connecting with people and I see what their needs are and I can help them achieve that. It makes me feel like I'm making a difference and helping people. So I've just used that gift of connection. The industry really got me out of my comfort zone. I used to be super shy and not talk to anyone when I was younger.
What?
I
I
know
don't
you don't
believe
believe
that. No
that.
way. I never knew
Yeah.
that.
So my grandmother actually told me that this industry got me out of my shell. So now I will talk to a brick wall, as you know. So I feel weird if I,
Literally.
yeah, I will. So I feel so weird if I go somewhere and I don't make a new friend or if I don't like talk to a new person in the room. Like I feel strange. Like I have to at least connect with someone, if I'm going to a kid function or if I'm going to church or if I'm going to a networking event, I have to connect with new people and say hi to people. And, it gives me life to do that. And
Yeah,
so I really enjoy it. And I feel like that's my 1% that I can bring to the business. And that connection has gotten me to be able to invite a lot of people to take a look at what we're doing. And that in turn has turned into success in the industry.
I love it. So good.
Mhm.
Um, it's so funny because we'll like go to an event and Amy and I went to Mexico together. Super cool. She took me on like one of her company trips. I mean, so awesome. What a good friend. And um and we were at, I forget where we were. We were at one of like the little events or something. And no matter where we go, it'll be like within 20 minutes, she'll walk over. She's like, hey, oh my gosh, I want you to meet my friend. And I'm like, oh, how long have you guys known each other? Like, well, we just met Amy, but they're acting like they've known her for forever because she has this like such a comfortable spirit and super friendly. And although she has like, of course, like ways that she can serve people, she never has an ulterior motive. She's all about like helping people, like even if it's just, oh, let me make a connection. Like you've got to meet this person. Like, oh my gosh, connector. There's a book by Malcolm Gladwell. I think it's called The Tipping Point. He's got a couple. I think it's the one in The Tipping Point that talks about the three types of people. you're definitely a connector. I've realized I'm a maven, which we won't get into another time, but I used to be a connector and I still am in a lot of ways, but like Amy is like the massive connector. And what's so cool is you've just helped make so many like divine alignments, for people in life. So that's awesome. Like recently when you she actually introduced me to a doctor, Dr. Cohn, who completely helped like start to my healing process on a lot of stuff that we won't like get into the science of it, but it's just really cool and was able to help me get in front of this doctor that normally is like $600. Like he did like 2 treatments and gave me all this knowledge, and it was just really cool. So like what a blessing you are to so many people. So I love that.
Thanks, girl. So are you.
Thanks.
So,
So, okay, so I want to move into a little bit about like some of the like systematizing and social media, like, and ask you a little bit about some of the struggles, I guess, because I think a lot of people, because I know you're okay just being an open book, and a lot of people are in your shoes where they're like, I'm having success and I see people winning on like social media and I see people using like these automations and systems, but I don't know if it works for me, or I don't know how to do it, or what are some of the biggest struggles you think, like when you think of starting those things, like what comes to mind, for you?
let's see. Well, yes, definitely not knowing how to do it, needing a professional to help me. And just a little bit of feeling of just overwhelmed because there's so much out there and there's so much new stuff.
Yeah.
But that in the background, there's oh my gosh, I would love to do that if it would really work. And maybe a little bit of fear of like putting yourself out there, getting back in front of a camera, or, you know, putting your stuff out online. I haven't done that in so long. So I think that was the hesitation of starting. But now I'm starting to see that, you pretty much need to and have to scale yourself on a bigger level. And just because you're online doesn't mean you can't be out and connecting as well. So you can kind of do, a little bit of both worlds. And, if I can help more people and impact more people by going online, I think it's definitely a good idea.
Yeah, I love it. So you just said a word, help you scale yourself, which I think is huge, and that's like exactly right. Like social media is kind of like this open sea, right? And like every time you make a piece of content, right? Well, I'll put it this way. Like every time you go to an event and you meet people, like you typically are only going to keep meeting people if you keep doing that, or maybe you're at the event and you're capturing leads or using some sort of system, right, for the back end. But in order to continue to get leads, you're constantly being out and about, right? And again, there's nothing wrong with that, but what if we could create an overflow of leads so that we don't have to do it, we just get to do it when we want to because we like to, right? And so when you think of scaling yourself, so social media is kind of like a deep sea, right? And it's like every time you create a piece of content, it's like you're throwing out a fishing pole that just works for you to infinity. So it's like it's got like endless bait. So it's like you're constantly catching fish over a period of time. Like you may not catch fish from one piece of content for 1 year, but it's content that will continue to live on the internet until you take it down, or you want to take it down, or but always be working for you to nurture your audience, capture your audience, and convert your audience for you, right? And the other thing too is about scaling ourselves is so much, we think that if we want to grow to 7 and 8 figures, we have to like work more. We have to do like 12 hours needs to turn to 14 to 16. And like, guys, that's not it. It's like, if you use your skill set to build a system, the system will scale with you keeping your hours the same, And so the biggest difference between 6 and 7 figure income earners is systems, like systems and automation. And the scary part, the part that sucks is like, you just said it. So many people think that they like have to like, they feel overwhelmed, right? And it's like, just take it one step at a time, because it's a process. It's not an overnight process, and keep doing what's in your genius zone. But what if it was like every Sunday from 7 to 9, I'm working on my social media strategy, and then building an email list and, using automations, et cetera. Like, whether it's you're going through a course or working with a coach, on the side, right? We don't want to replace what's working right now. But anyways, so what out of that, what kind of like spoke to you out of what I just shared? I went on a little rant, sorry.
All of it, pretty much. I think it's just like taking the leap of faith that it's going to work, and if it's working for others, it can work for you too. And just I've always been a teamwork person. I don't like to do things on my own. So just knowing that there's a team of people like y'all out there that help people do this, that is a lot more comforting. Just to have an expertise, like somebody who is an expert that can help you systematize yourself, is much easier than trying to figure it out all by yourself.
For sure. Definitely. That's wise, because if you have your business that's working, right, to an extent, you can like outsource and maybe invest a little bit in yourself to have someone help you, rather than spending countless hours not working your business, running in circles, creating headaches for yourself. Instead, stay in your genius zone, keep doing, and hire or get a course or do something on the side to slowly learn. So I love that. That's awesome. So, when you say teamwork too, I think a lot of people are like, man, I've got to brand myself. Like, we can brand as a group. Like, people can group together. Like, you can get, 3 or 4 of your downline members and create a brand together. And that's actually leverage, because now you have people that can create content for each other, and you can leverage each other's time, skills, resources, and go way further than just one individual could, right? Um, so yeah, I'm excited. I know we were talking a little bit about some branding taglines for you, and for your Instagram and stuff like that. Um, but yeah. So what else? Can you share? Did you have something in mind that you were like, I really wanted to talk about this?
Um, Not really. I'm just excited for like what's going to come in the future. I know I have a lot of things in the pipeline that it doesn't make sense for me to not capture and have the content for. Like, for example, we're about to do a trip to Costa Mesa,
Mm,
out to see Dr. Cone, and I'm going to have several girls with me, and we're going to do some treatments and go to the beach while we're there. And that's stuff that we have to get captured, like testimonies
yes.
and different things. And I know it's going to help so many people, because what I've discovered is there's so many people that, maybe they want to travel the world, maybe they want to do fun things, but they have all these health issues going on in the background. So if we can capture some marketing, that's going to capture more people than I could possibly tell in a day about each of the testimonials without having to send it one by one. So I'm really excited about that. I think this is going to be like my first step towards making some content um, that
Yeah.
I can use in a system. So, I mean, at the end of the day, my goal is just to help more people, like help more people faster, have more freedom so I can spend more time with my child, and, do more fun things and be able to help others do the same. And so, with that being my goal, I know that I can't continue to just do networking groups and be out and about every single day. So I'm just looking forward to like what's going to happen in the near future, and being able to report back what happened with using a system and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I love it. Well, I know we talked right before this about like a landing page. So we got to schedule some time, because we can make a killer landing page. And by the way, like, for those of you who are wondering what's a landing page is just a website, but without all the home, welcome, like all the subs. It's just main goal is one thing. Like, you're just promoting one thing. Like, here's my guide to blank, 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 right? It doesn't have a ton of call to actions. Like, the only call to action is into your phone and email address, so that you can capture information, and then nurture those people with content and give them value. And then, slowly introduce any products or services, but truly helping people, right? First, and then creating a demand for your product on the back end. But anyways, the reason I was saying that was, yeah, I think you having a landing page, which is like so stinking simple. Like, we just did one in under an hour on one of our group calls a few weeks ago, like full on from the landing page to the thank you page to the email automation that people receive when they sign up. Um, it's super fast when you work with an expert. So I'm excited for us to have our call on that. And I was gonna say something else. Oh shoot, well, I lost it. Oh man. I lost it.
That happens a lot.
Yeah, I know, right?
Happens to
There's
all of
so many
us.
good ideas. It's like, oh yeah. So how are you currently? Like, I think we have so many ideas, right? We're kind of like always, have all these ideas. Like, what are you doing right now to focus and help you organize when it comes to ideas? Like, do you have a place where you're storing like future ideas or, you know,
I have pages and pages of all kinds of stuff that I might not ever even get back to. But as long as I have it written down somewhere and out of my brain, that's always a good thing. So I
yeah.
have some lists in my phone. I have some lists
Mhm.
on paper. So
Yeah. Um,
um,
Yeah, I've just started like when I have an idea, I just pop it into an iPhone note and then I release it because I'm like, there's no way I'm going to get to that this month, today, tomorrow. Like maybe, I just have to like put it on paper and get rid of it out of my brain.
yeah.
I just started reading this book. It's called Straight Line Leadership. Highly suggest it. It's like next level. I mean, you would think it's about leadership, but it's more about like self leadership to results. And it talks about, when you want to get something done, you make two lists. You make a list of the things you want to accomplish. Then you make a list of the things you want that you're committed to accomplish. And then you throw out the list that you want to accomplish. And I was like, boom, wow. Like, I've just been in this super simple place of just simplifying, right? I'm like, I want to do that. I want to do that. Like, all these things. And I'm like, but am I committed to it? It's not that I don't want to do it and I don't want to commit. It's just, can I commit with the other commitments I have in my life? Right. And so I think as entrepreneurs, we get so distracted by our wants that it prevents us from actually like succeeding in the one simple, stupid, simple thing because we have all these. So yeah, I love that you just kind of write them down and get them out of your head. Um, but yeah, so tell us like a little bit about what, when you are when like what are some things that you're seeing right now with other people in your organization, even like how do you feel like they might be struggling on, and what do you think can do social media even can do for them and automations and stuff like that?
Uh, so I think the biggest struggle I see is that maybe not, I know not everyone has the gift of connection and it's not as easy for them. And sometimes that's not duplicatable if you have like an amazing gift of connection and they have a struggle. So I feel like social media might open the door for them to be able to connect with people without the fear. Like, for example, I don't have fear when I'm talking to people, but I know there's a lot of people out there that they are afraid to talk to people. And so I feel like that kind of closes the gap of like, okay, it gives them a little bit of a barrier because they're people online. And so I think that there's a lot of people that feel more confident in getting leads off of social media versus talking to friends and family.
Yes, totally. Because we get into this business and we're told that we can have a success by, well, if you have six friends and families members, you can have success because they know six and those people know six and those people know six. And look, I'm not necessarily bashing it because it works, right, to an extent, but it works with a lot of like almost like friction because you're like, hey, support me. So I think a sustainable business is built off of an endless list of leads. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't, invite your friends and family to see your products or opportunity or anything like that, but you shouldn't rely on it. Like, right. And that's why, I mean, you plug into so many networking groups, I mean, which is great, a true organic strategy rather than just relying on, friends and family and meeting people on the bus, which, hey, sometimes that works. But I've gotten a person that way, a long time ago, but I just remembered what I was going to say earlier. When you were talking about creating the content in Costa Mesa, it's like I love that you're focusing on like you envision the content of the marketing of how people can see the fun and what it does. And I'm going to give you guys, for those of you listening that are like wondering what's maybe I'm doing social media or maybe I'm trying to sell in person, like what's your missing link? Like why are you not having success? Okay, this is like the number one secret that when I started doing this, everything changed. I mean, everything. Like there's not one thing that I can't go, and this isn't to brag on me. This is just like the true result of the secret, right? Like there's not one thing that I can't go share and not have success in because of the secret. And I changed this in everything, and everything changed. So what happens is so many people are focused on selling on social media, right? Like, and people come onto social media thinking, oh, well, I'm supposed to post about my products, and you're like, here's XYZ product. Like, this is going to help you lose weight. And it's got this science in it, and it's made back by this science, got this ingredient and this ingredient, and they're selling. Well, people don't want to be sold. They want to be explained to. So the moment you stop selling and you start explaining, people's ears perk up and they're like, wait, how do I get that? Because you didn't even tell them, like, oh, if you want it, message me. You're just like explaining it, right? Like, you cannot notice, like, when you watch content, you'll see like the people who are posting reels that are like making their coffee and they're like, oh my gosh, it's doing this and I feel good, and they're making recipes out of it. Like, that's the content that people want to see, not the content that's like, I just got this coffee and it's got this, this, and this, right? So like, when you're talking about creating that content out in Costa Mesa, like, you're talking about what's the result they're going to get. What's the experience they're going to get? How is the treatment going to help them? You're not so much focused on the science, not to say that like, science doesn't matter, but people want to understand the benefits. And so if you just explain to people rather than selling, like, you will convert so many more customers and prospects. Like, even prospects explaining how they make the money, not why they need to do this, right? It's just a huge game changer. So I definitely encourage anyone who might be wondering, like, I'm posting, but why is it not working? Like, just start to think, how can you just explain the benefits? How can you talk about really why you love it? So I don't know. That just hit me when you were talking about your trip, and I'm excited for you to take those video clips and turn them into some content. And I'm excited for you. Yeah. So let's see. So this has been like tons of fun. I love it. What's been maybe, I'd love to know, like, what's been maybe your biggest aha moment, maybe just from like talking right now. And I want to share what one of my biggest takeaways was, but what's been your biggest aha moment just kind of talking today?
Well, I think you're amazing, and you definitely have a gift for all the stuff you try to help people do, and a gift for encouragement, encouraging people to step out and do something that, maybe they're scared to do. So that was my biggest takeaway, is like, there's just a friendship and a team here that's going to help you every step of the way to help you be more successful so you can spend more time with your family.
Oh, I love that. Thanks. Yeah, that's truly, what it's all about is, our brand especially is all about freedom. Like, why do we want to use automations and systems? Not so we can be geeky, so that we can be smart and spend more time with our family, right? Because that's the true purpose why we're here. That's why God placed us here. And the other thing too is, Proverbs 24:10, this hits me every time, because I read a proverb a day every month. And every time I get to this part, I'm like, oh my gosh. And it says, Proverbs 24:10 says, if you fail under pressure, your strength is too small. Like, I'm like, another version says, if you faint under pressure. And basically, there's a ton of people right now, right, that are struggling in their business, and they feel like they're under pressure. Maybe they're under pressure to, like, because it's like, it has to work, right? It's not, or it's not working, or whatever it is. And you're giving up too close, like too close before the gold, right? Like, God granted you this journey to mold you, to build you, to strengthen you, to equip you, to let others be empowered by your story and your success, right? Like Amy, for instance, she was one of the people in my first company that I would see at the very top at the stage and everything. And I was like, oh my gosh, one day, right? But what I didn't see was, I didn't see behind the scenes everything she was doing, like behind the scenes, to have that success, the struggle she was facing. I just saw the glitzy, glammy dress, the cute smile, the big checks, and thought, I want that. And what God put me through to go through is like, oh, this isn't what you think, right? But it's for a purpose. And so I just want to encourage everyone, to keep going, and don't faint or don't fail, but you can take rests, right? Just don't give up. And so, Amy, it has been so fun to have you on. Thank you so much. You are such an amazing connector. I know you love helping people, especially in health and wellness. Where can people find you? Is it Instagram?
Yeah, so my Instagram is Little Miss Travel. So,
Okay, cool.
mhm.
Okay, so we'll link it in the show notes. So you guys, if you're on Instagram, go follow her at Little Miss Travel. Because stay tuned because we're gonna be helping her with some of her stuff. So you may learn a thing or two. And follow her because she's just awesome. Got so much encouragement and she loves to travel and she's just a helper and a connector. So send her a message if you get on there because you never know how she might help you connect you with someone great. Because that's just what she does. That's her gift from God. So this has been awesome. Amy, I just want to thank you again for your time. Any last words for anyone out there?
Thank you, Megan. I really appreciate you. This has been a blessing. And I'll just say that, you can do it. And there's always somebody out there that can help you figure it out. So just stay plugged into whatever resources that you have and stay connected to people who can help you connect you with resources like Megan has. So thank you so much. And I hope you have an awesome rest of your day.
Thank you. All right. Bye, everyone.
Hey guys, what's up? I hope you loved today's episode. As a special treat for those of you who are listening to the podcast in the current season, depending on when you're listening to this, we have our upcoming free 5-day challenge coming up, which Amy will be sharing on as well as other panelists. It's going to be called the Double Your Downline Challenge, and we're going to help you catapult your recruiting, help you get your team into momentum, and launch your best year yet. So you can get registered for that at www.doubleyourdownlinechallenge.com. We'll also drop it in the show notes. We hope you enjoyed today's episode and can't wait to see you in the free 5-day challenge, Double Your Downline Challenge. See you there.